What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel for another review. Today we are talking about The Amateur. Full disclosure, I saw this about a week early, but I have no idea when you're actually going to see this video because there was no indication as to when the embargo lifts for full-length reviews. The Amateur is a PG-13 revenge thriller starring Rami Malek as Chuck Heller, a CIA decoder seeking retribution for his wife's murder at the hands of a terrorist group after his organization shows zero interest in bringing the perpetrators to justice. Heller is a tech genius, having invented a lot of the software that his agency uses, but he's not a killer. And so he seeks training from a character played by Lawrence Fishburne. I can't remember if he's ex-military or just a part of the CIA. The first half of this film is largely dedicated to him trying to pick up on these skills that he needs to hunt these 4 people down and take them out. So there's a very strong focus on not only will he be able to acquire the skills to kill people, but also does he have the capacity, the moral capacity to carry out something like that. And there's a huge abundance of other characters at play. Holt McCallany, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, plays Moore, the deputy director of his division. When Heller blackmails him into helping find his wife's killers, they wind up sending some people into the field. The head of CIA sniffs out what they have going on and sends her own people into the field. It becomes very complicated. Jon Bernthal even shows up for an extremely throwaway role. He's in like 2 scenes in the film, and I would have loved to have seen more of his character because there seems to be some sort of history between him and Heller. The runtime leans just over 2 hours, and I think it's too long for a movie like this, at least to the degree of simplicity that's at play. I'm sure that on paper it sounded enticing to explore the revenge thriller subgenre from the perspective of a character who doesn't have the physicality of the character you would normally see in Rami Malek's shoes, and also the ruthlessness that you tend to see in a character like James Bond or Jason Bourne. But in execution, it just becomes frustrating because it takes such a long time before he actually starts killing these terrorists, which is kind of what we show up to buy a ticket to see, right? I mean, it's not called a revenge movie for some other reason. Many parts of it feel simply implausible as well. I'm no spy, but I feel like the dynamics at play, especially within the ranks of the CIA, would simply not play out this way in reality. This is another one of those genres that is also heavily populated. Each year we get a couple of films that I feel fit the same description as The Amateur, whether that be a throwaway Liam Neeson flick, but I don't feel that this film carves out an identity for itself. It just kind of feels like an imitation of what we've seen before. And I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with Heller as a character either. He winds up being somewhere between Jason Bourne and John Kramer without ever really picking a distinct direction to go with him. For instance, there's a sequence shown in the trailer in which he approaches one of the people that was involved with the killing of his wife, who is swimming in, I don't know what you call like a sky pool. It bridges between 2 high-rise buildings. Horrible design if you ask me, but I'm sure there's stuff like that out there. And he's created this explosive contraption that will break the glass and cause this guy to fall to his death unless he's able to swim out of there quickly enough. But there's no tension in the scene because we follow it completely from Heller's perspective, but also because we have no context to the perpetrator. He's just a random dude whose face we've seen on security camera footage up until this point in the movie. Because of the PG-13 rating, it never commits to being very dark, but it also doesn't set its sights on being much fun either. So it's sort of just this dreary time passer that has all of the bare bones essentials of your average revenge thriller, but nothing that stands out as above average or exceptional. And that's a shame, particularly because there are a couple of moments, specifically in the 3rd act, that show an interest in exploring the difference between justice and vengeance. What does killing do to a man? Is this even worth it for Heller? Is he going to find any peace after killing these men? That's nothing original either, but it would have added more emotional weight, more heft to the story if we could have seen more of that. Instead, it's just kind of a boring slog that has its moments. Plenty of flashbacks to earlier scenes with him and his wife, played by Rachel Brosnan. Rami Malek is innocent, though. He acts his ass off in a movie that is just too predictable and safe to allow him to really elevate it much beyond what it is on paper. Not much else to say about this one. It's well made, it's well shot, well acted, but very disposable and unremarkable. It's also based on a book, I think. I'm gonna give The Amateur 2.5 stars. The reason I'm leaning a little more towards the middle when I think I was talking a bit more negatively in the rest of my review is that I do think it's well made, like I just said a second ago. But when you have a movie that has so many familiarities and lacks a sense of identity so much, and that it's able to spend 2 hours replaying the beats of the genre without deviating, That's what frustrates me, and that's what leaves this feeling like the type of thing you would throw on a streaming service rather than even bothering to spend your money to see it in theaters. So those are my thoughts on The Amateur. It comes to theaters on April 11th, so if you do manage to catch it, be sure to let me know what you think of it down in the comments. Hit that like button as well as subscribe while you're at it. If you want more videos like this one, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.